Question, somebody?
You don't have a question?
I don't have a question. I'm sorry. If you want to. Partially.
Guess one question might be is Shimon and Levi's shared certain characteristics in common. Witnessed their little holiday tour of Shechem, but yet their fates is so different.
There.
Their fate, F-A-T-E, their fates are so different. Levi becoming the Abadei Hashem, and Shimon kind of fading away.
We have two unanswered questions from a week ago. I remind you, perhaps you decided not to deal with them, and that's fine if you decide. I mentioned, I asked about Parashas HaShavua, the names of the parashas that sometimes seem to be very random. They don't seem to be very significant. Vayigash, you love, is Vayigash such an important word, or Miketz, or Vayichi, are these words so defining, or maybe I should at least think of nothing very important? That was the question I asked them. And then that same day, I think, or next day, someone else asked the question about the Spiros, why Moshe and Aaron appear before Yosef, when chronologically Yosef lived before Moshe and Aaron.
In the spheres.
Right, in the Spiros, that Yosef was Yisod, it appears afterward. Again, I don't know if that's a big question either. It doesn't necessarily have to be chronological. It's just we were otherwise. Those were two questions that we had. The Parashas HaShavua and the Spiros.
And maybe one more, just in line of with what was being asked before about this whole parsha about the Ephraim and Manasseh. Which one was? It mean the small. This one was going to be greater than the other one. At the end of the day, both Ephraim and Manasseh had tzaddikim, had good and bad people come out of them. Why is there an entire parsha in the Torah that's very busy with the fates of Ephraim and Manasseh, the brachas, that whole union? Why is that important for us?
Morning.
We see at the end of the parsha basically that the Shalom down people, the living in Goshen. And then the beginning of Shmos picks up with this whole harsh decree against them, Paro plotting to, we don't really see at least anything from the Psukim, or at least not much, maybe it's so here or there with the word, where this descent happened among them, or what exactly happened that suddenly caused this, amazing turnaround of our faith, like down there when how we, I guess, descended into this is, shining and being light on them. Maybe something to be elaborate. Something to wake up with.
That doesn't-
Many years ago, I think I mentioned this to you when I was the guest speaker at a annual dinner of Agudas Yisrael of America. So Rabbi Yankiv Kamenetsky, Tzchaynu L'Bracha, spoke, and he said the following. He said that, Rashi says over here by Shimon and Levi, that Yankiv Avinu concludes his admonition, his bracha to them by saying, Achalkem b'Yankiv afitzem b'Yisrael, I will divide them or scatter them amongst Yankiv, afitzem b'Yisrael, I will scatter them amongst Israel. So Rashi over here says, Ein lecha aniyim v'seifrim, he quotes, it's a medrash, Ein lecha aniyim v'seifrim u'malamdi tinoikes ela mishimen. That Shimon the descendants of Shimon are going to be poor people, they will be scribes, and they will be teachers of children. And all of that, kadesh yiyu nefutzim, that they should be scattered. In other words, people who are impoverished will have to go around collecting money, looking for all kinds of odd jobs, and so they'll be scattered. Scribes will have to go around looking for work, writing mezuzahs and things for people in different communities, and teachers of children and little children, and so that they're gonna be scattered all over. And Levi also machzer al hagronos letrumos u'lamaisros, and for Levi, he was going to be suffer this thing of being scattered by virtue of the fact that he was going to have to go around to farmers. You have to go around to different farmers to collect trumas and maisros, to hope they go to this farm, and this farmer will choose him to be the Kohen who's going to receive the trumas and the maisros. So it says over here, Nosan, Rashi concludes, Nosan leitfutzasai, so he conferred upon him his scattering, but derech kavod. It's more honorable than the Mishulach has to go around and solicit alms, or the Melamdi Tinaikis. Melamdi Tinaikis classically were always there, the teachers of children were always and not amongst the elite of the community. It was so anyway. So Rabbi Yankiv said that he wanted to see this in a little bit of a different light. So he said Shimon and Levi, that Yankiv Avinu saw that Shimon and Levi, amongst all of the siblings, were the ones who could not bear the humiliation of their sister and were mekane. They were zealots on behalf of her honor and her dignity, and Yaakov Avinu felt that this midah of caring for others was something that should be disseminated in Klal Yisrael. So he said, "Achalkim b'Yankiv, afitzem b'Yisrael," which is, I want them to be they're going to take that fire, and they're going to take that kanois and all over Klal Yisrael. I'm going to scatter them, so they should invest that, they should inculcate that quality into little children. They should inculcate that quality into Klal Yisrael. That's what Rabbi Yankiv said. And I'm not sure whether he had a specific agenda in mind at the time, but he felt that kind of caring was what the chinuch world needed to try to.
What the kufu is?
It must have been like in the late 60s, early 70s maybe.
Such an
Long time ago.
Wouldn't the bracha be that they should do that, but also be able to earn a good living, and not to be poor? To use that fire, it means what this.
No distractions. With guilt.
And why is the tikkun pizur?
So they'll be all over. But they'll be, it's rather than be centered in one place.
L'shvach, not legnai.
Huh?
You look at this pizur, l'shvach, not legnai.
Right. That's what he was trying to say. He was trying to say that.
I think more commonly it's understood the opposite.
Right.
correct?
Right. It's more commonly.
Together, it's dangerous when they're unified.
You ever read Subata, the book?
I heard of it. Yeah.
I met him once. I was walking with Lazy Yanis, the Babcher. He was 20 years in the Gulag. Anyway, so they sentenced him, because he was mazed to curse Stalin to their Bezdin. So they gave him an extra honor. They took away his Russian citizenship.
They what?
They took away his Russian citizenship, which meant that he couldn't go to a large city. So when he finally got out, he had to go around Russia and teach everybody.
Yeah, the curse of Shimon and Levi. So, with regard to Josh's question over here, and to some extent to Tzvi's question, perforce, I think we have to assume that the reason that Shimon and Levi had received kind of a different fate has to be attributable to the fact that they had different kavanas, or different they approach things differently. One of the things that the Shem Shmuel says about, I think he says this about Menashe and Ephraim actually. So he says that he describes two orientations in avoda. So you have one person, and to us, perhaps one of the greatest praises, one of the greatest descriptions we can give of a person is to say he's a Talmid Chacham. Implicit in that is the word Talmid, that he's a disciple. You could say, we speak about a Chacham, a Chacham. But we say he's a Talmid Chacham. So there's implications there is that he's a Chacham. He has this additional midah of bending his head to a chacham. He's a recipient. He's someone who's humbled himself to be a klei kibul, to receive. They talk about Yehoshua. That Yehoshua, there's no. Anyway, so in Parshas Shlach, so Yehoshua is mentioned, I think, in the sixth one over there. Reuven, Shimon, Yehuda, Yisachar. He's the fifth. So, fifth and sixth. Shimon, Yehuda, Yisachar. Yeah, Ephraim. So, I believe that the Balaturim says that they were listed in order of their greatness in Torah, and the Ramban says that Yehoshua was one of the Sorei Chamishim. So either that or it's the other way around. The Ramban says something about the fifth, and the Balaturim says about the Sorei Chamishim. So in any event, the bottom line is that if you figure this out, so there were 1,000 Sori Alafim, right? The judges of the thousands, right? So there were 600,000 Shishim Riboy Anoshim, So if you had judges of the thousands, there were 600. And then there were the Sorei Ameos were 6,000. And then the Sorei Chamishim was okay, whatever. So let's just figure that we have 6,605 who were greater than Yehoshua. And Yehoshua was the one who was chosen to be the Manig Yisrael. And that was because of the fact that amongst all of them, that he was the one who had the greatest bittul to Moshe Rabbeinu. He was constantly in Moshe Rabbeinu's presence, even to the point where when Moshe Rabbeinu went up to the House Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights, Yeshua did not return back to the nation, to the Machna. He stayed at the foot of the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights to be close to Moshe Rabbeinu.
You probably didn't eat or drink during that time.
What?
You probably didn't eat or drink during that time either.
Well, I don't know. Nobody says that. It would be that's it's curious to find out how that worked, but he didn't leave. So
Maybe someone came on today and brought him some food.
Take out.
Eventually, it said that he had to have this first committed the whole klal to be able to eat and drink at that during that kufa. So the Chara he held it, he didn't eat.
So it's interesting that one of the definitions that the Gemara gives for an Am Haaretz is someone who knows Kol HaTorah Kula, but he was not Mishamish Talmidei Chachamim. And it's that happens to be, I think, in many instances, an eye opener, because what that's really saying is that you can know everything, but if you haven't seen it work, if you haven't seen how great people integrate their knowledge, how they balance their priorities, how they, when are you a zealot and when are you not a zealot? When are you meichel on your kovid, when you're not meichel on your kovid? What's more important? I told my kovid the other day that one of our mechatonim who passed away recently was this Rabbi Michel Weiss. This Rabbi Michel Weiss is the father of Rabbi Michel Weiss, this Torah giant who gives shiurim everywhere. But Rabbi Michel Weiss had 7 or 8 sons, all of which they're all skyscrapers. They're all massive Talmidei Chachamim, all of them. And they're just guying him. Anyway, so his granddaughter, my grandson married his granddaughter. So we were together for Shabbos, and he sat next to me on Shabbos. He was 90 at the time, 93 years old, clear as a bell, just a fascinating person, and a storyteller par excellence. So, so one of the stories he told me, and when he told the story by saying exactly when it happened and where it happened and who the players were, what their names were, and all that. That was very impressive. So, I hope that somebody recorded his stories, because he was just a library of information. So one of the stories he told me was about the Chassam Sefer. The Chassam Sefer would annually go to visit a community where the Maram Shik, one of his very famous disciples, was a rabbi, and And he would spend apparently a couple of weeks there. Maybe it was like a nicer place, or it was during the summer. Maybe it was the weather was more pleasant. I'm not sure. But he went there this summer, and on one occasion, the Reish HaKol, the president of the community of Frankfurt, was there. Maybe it was Presburg, whatever it was, the community where he was rabbi. He wasn't originally in Frankfurt, and then I think maybe he was in Presburg. So he was there, the Rosh HaKol, and he noticed that the Chassam Sofer davened a very short Shmon Esrei. So he went up to him and he said to him, the Rav is a seicher. Means you're a businessman. So Chassam Sofer said to him, I'm a seicher? You did business with me? So he said, well, when the Rav is in Frankfurt, the Rav davens a very long Shemoneh Esrei, but here he davens a very short Shemoneh Esrei. So it means that, what he was implying was that when the Rav was back in town, that he has to put on a show. Some said to him, Du bist am chutzef. Du bist am chutzef. Du bist am chutzef. He said to him 3 times, Du bist am chutzef. And he said to him, I really don't owe you an explanation, but since you asked, I'm going to tell you. He said, I come here. He said, the Amshik is the rabbi of this community. He said, if I were to daven my Shemoneh Esrei over here, so what would happen? People would see that I daven a longer Shemoneh Esrei than their rabbi. They would say, their rabbi is not such a holy Jew because he doesn't daven such a long Shemoneh Esrei. He says, when I'm here, I daven a tefillas havinenu, which is the kind of tefillah that you say when you travel. He says, I daven a tefillas havinenu. So you have a Godel b'Yisrael, right? You have a person like the Chassam Sofer, and when he is in this place, he's thinking about the fact of what are going to be the implications of his Shemoneh Esrei here, and he davens the tefillas havinenu. So if you have someone who's in the company of a Chassam Sofer, and you watch how he lives and the decisions that great people make, and when they make them and how they make them, so you see a living Torah. That's the advantage of being a mishamish, a Talmid Chacham, is that you see how it works. It comes together.
Why do you tell him 3 times? He's a chutzah.
That I don't know.
We have to repeat it plus 3 times. Finish the one.
Shlosh Hashanah.
Huh?
That's Ruach Neshama.
Shlosh Hashanah, it's Nefesh Nefesh.
All right, Ruach Neshama.
You wanted me to show you it was Chazak. He made sure that he knew it was a Mechutzav. Anyway, so the truth is that the greatest appellation, the greatest title for a person is that he's a Talmid Chacham. And Yosef, when he brought Ephraim and Menashe, discerned in the 2 of them these 2 distinct characteristics. Menashe's ki nashani elikim. I put everything behind me. I am a self-made man. Menashe represents the chacham, the self-made person. He's not a product of something that came before him. He is Nashani. What came before him is forgotten. He's a self-made person. Whereas, as Ephraim represents the the Talmud, the one who's mevatel themselves. Yeshua comes from Ephraim. Pnei Moshe is k'pnei Chama, and Yeshua is k'pnei Levana, is like, because the Levana is the reflection, the one who receives. So, Yosef, because of the fact that he, in fact, had to, in order for him to survive in Mitzrayim, he had to develop his own, in a certain sense, his own persona, and so he felt that the quality of Menashe was superior to the quality of Ephraim. Ephraim is Beetle, whereas Menashe represents, in a certain sense, the self-made person. I'm transmitting to you what I understood the Shem Yishmael to be saying about Menashe and Ephraim. So, Yaakov disagrees, and he disagrees because he understands that in Ephraim, it's not that Ephraim is Beetle without the self-made product. It is Beetle in addition to the fact that, in other words, in order for someone to be the legitimate receiver, he in a deeper sense he has to have that quality of being a self-determined person. So the Talmid Chacham is not just a receiver; it's someone who is able to receive and develop it into his own, to become his own person with the integration of the.
That's the pshat in the Bardic joke?
I was thinking the same thing. Who are you to say you're nothing?
You haven't been here long enough to be garnished. Everybody says, I have to be garnished. He's a new guy.
It was Moshe who wrote that he was the Anav Mikol Adam.
Right. Well, that's a fascinating quality. Otherwise, she was able to write that. But
this isn't what the Rebbe is saying is not a nivus.
it is. It is to be able to say, to be able to be a complete, in a certain sense, to nullify oneself, negate oneself, and know that in the nullification that there is an obligation to develop, to define oneself as an independent, unique entity. That was the gift of Ephraim. That was the gift of Yeshua, and so Yaakov Avinu sees into Ephraim deeper than Yosef. Yosef sees the nullification and sees the self-determination of Menashe, and Yaakov says to him, but in Yeshua, in Ephraim's Beetle, there is the quality of developing the strength of an independent persona. So,
Is that the pshat in Netzach? It's sustainable because it's.
so I don't remember how that was. It would seem that would that they should work that way. So if there are differences between Shimon and Levi in terms of how their afitzim, their scattering takes place, where Levi is b'derech koved and Shimon is less so. So it's possible that when they went into Shechem, that Shimon, in a certain sense, went in as with the bechina of Chacham, and that Levi went in with the Talmud Chacham. In other words, that Levi's zealousness, Levi's passion was born of Bittul, whereas Shimon's passion was born of his having that this is the way I see the world. This is the way it's a finely nuanced thing, but the difference is that when Levi, or the descendants of Levi, when Moshe Rabbeinu says Amil Hashem Elai, so Levi responds with complete bittul to Moshe Rabbeinu, and that's why they become the Kohanim and the Leviim, because they surrender everything. They surrender even family. Everything is the strength that comes out of knowing when and how to surrender oneself to something that's.
The bracha mentions Yaakov and Yisrael. He's saying Yisrael. How do we?
I don't know whether or not it doesn't seem, at least Rashi's quote of the Medrash does not. Your point is well taken, because it could very well be that Achalkim be Yaakov. Yaakov is usually seen as the lesser madrega, and that would be then the scattering of Shimon in a way which was less prestigious, and Afitzim Yisrael would be Levi, that their scattering would be in a more respectable way, in a more dignified way.
Could you speak about that in connection with the fact that we see that Shimon does not get a bracha from Moshe Rabbeinu in the final brachas?
Yeah, so that would be consistent with what we're saying.
Yeah.
Because they were not.
But it seems like hard to understand what the kochos of Shimon, then what their final real role is in Klal Yisrael. They're scattered. Maybe they're so
Well, but they are.
enthusiasm.
Shimon did care. Shimon made a decision that most of us, I think, would identify with pretty strongly. You know, their sister was treated in a very disgusting way, and you know, like the Hachazona, yes, as Hussein, huh?
Did Yaakov have an answer for that?
Not recorded.
I mean, they understood the Ma'aseh was Simon Banim. Is that what we're saying here? They didn't just act in a betin. They understood that they had to put a footprint on the future of the Jewish people by responding. So they took that price.
Right. It's a nice way of saying it, too. They definitely left the footprint. But what Yaakov was saying is that what they did was an important quality, an important characteristic, and Yaakov Avinu wanted that quality to be given over, to be inculcated in Klal Yisrael. And a really good mechanech is someone who has, in a certain sense, the excitement and the charisma to be able to give over something to a group of Talmidim, and yet identifying each one the ways in which they need to be able to process it in their own, to develop their own strengths. Huh? Right up here, and it's very, very hard to do, especially when you have today. We have these large classes because we can't afford to pay teachers a living wage when they have small classes, and even gifted mechanchim are having difficulty being able to give that kind of personal attention. That's really the gift of a mechanech, is to give over and to differentiation, individualization. What? Yeah.
Esh Kodesh says that that's a lost art. How did we lose it?
It's a quick one.
The question's quick.
Question for tomorrow.
Yeah, it is a good question for tomorrow, but it's also a good question for the rest of you to think about, because I think it's a question which most of us probably have some feelings about.
Yeah.
I think everybody over here has some ideas about why that's the case.
If anybody wants to look in the Hakdama, other subject media, he speaks about that. He discusses his parents in the country. It says it's lost art.
Yes, okay. Are you driving back home? Can I get around?
Your question.
Thank you. Thank you.